Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's call on food and mental health. Tonight, we're lucky enough to have Natalie Baldock on the coach, and Nat is an IIN food coach, an international speaker, an author, and a lover of women's health. She's an international mentor and an amazing friend, and she inspires and helps people all over the globe. We're fortunate to have her with us and share the link between food and mental health, which is such a big subject in today's society. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Nat, and at the end, we'll be able to ask Nat any questions that you may have.
Hi, everyone. Yes, this is a big topic right now. And, I don't know how many people have suffered with anxiety or depression before, but I believe there are multiple forms of anxiety, multiple forms of depression. And just let me mute everybody. I'll just mute all. Sorry, everyone. Okay. All right. Can everyone hear me? Thumbs up? Great. Okay. So depression has hit at least 50% of us before we are 28 years old. At least 80% of humans suffer with some sort of anxiety disorder or depression at some point in their life. Now, there's still no regulatory test for this. There's no blood test that they can, do with a patient to decipher whether they have anxiety disorder or depression. And that's why they can only call it a disorder and they can't call it a disease. And it's one of those things that is really frightening for a lot of people because they either have it daily or they either have it sporadically or they've either had it for long-winded periods of time and it's just sat there with them for so long. And once you're in it, it's very difficult to see a way out of it. And I have to be very vulnerable and very transparent with you all. Unfortunately, I had depression at 14 years old. It was classified as puberty blues. I had depression at 21 and 28. And I'm very, very blessed to say that after the age of 28, I have not had depression since. I have had a touch of anxiety here, there and everywhere, but I can tell you those bouts of anxiety are self-induced. Big weekends and, maybe just working too hard and not looking after myself nutritionally. So I want to share my story with you because I think my story will resonate with a lot of people and it will help everyone how depression can actually be eliminated in somebody's life altogether, or at least up to 90% of the time. And it's so important to understand that nutrition plays one of the largest roles in anxiety and depression, and it is so common for people to have it because of their poor food choices. So let's just really, I want to brief you on what has happened and transpired over the period of time that I was unwell. So when I was 11, this is when I saw the first signs of a little bit of anxiety. And this actually, I think was situational at the time. Diet-wise, this was exactly the same time that my mum went to work. And prior to that, I was fed the most incredible fruit and vegetable nutrition. Most of it was grown from my grandma's garden. We ate the meat and three veg, lots of fruit, hardly any lollies, sweets, takeout, nothing like that. And we were very athletic as kids. We were free spirits. We had good parents. Nothing went wrong. And then at 11, I had an incident happen. And then mum, directly after this, simultaneously, she went off to work. So we had to feed ourselves. We had to make our own lunches. We had to feed ourselves right up until dinner time. And so my choices became white bread, Vegemite sandwiches, 2-minute noodles, sausage rolls from the canteen, pies from the canteen, wheat bix, cornflakes, anything that was simple and anything that was easy. I might take one piece of fruit to school, but the next plant-based nutrition meal that I actually got in my diet was dinner time. So from the age of 11 right through to 28, I suffered with something called systemic candida albicans, which was undiagnosed. And it's a fungal infection that hits the bloodstream and it attacks all of your hormonal systems and your female systems. So polycystic ovarian syndrome, endometriosis, thrush, a lot of anxiety, a lot of colds, flus, chest infections. Now, at this point in time, the only thing that I knew that was going to be able to help me was to train really hard in all my sports and have my serotonin hit my bloodstream. But because I didn't know how to fuel my body directly after, I went through bouts of anxiety and depression over and over and over and over again. So I was overexerting, undernourishing, then overstimulating with medication and antibiotics and topical creams and you name it. And the cycle went on and on and on. And because I was ravenous, because I was a swimmer at the time, all I did was eat carbohydrates. And I ate the wrong type of carbohydrates. So I ate starchy carbohydrates and processed carbohydrates, and I had a ton of sugar in my diet. Now, the minute I understood nutrition, and I was 28 years old, and I became a plant-based eater, all of a sudden, the anxiety and depression just slowly dissipated. And when I say slowly, it took 3 or 4 months for the whole cloud to be lifted. And I just had enough. It was the enough is enough point. So from the age of 28 to now 44, all I have done is taught myself how to eat, how to food combine, how to write incredibly valuable and nutritious recipes for energy production within the body, how to write recipes that actually heal the body, and how to balance out all our proteins and our fats and our plant-based carbohydrates on a plate so we get our systems, our 3 major systems of our body functioning all together. Because this is really the meat and veg. This is really the fish and salad. This is the protein smoothie packed full of vegetables, made with an oil-based milk. And I mean that, I mean cashew milk or almond milk or coconut milk, something that's got good quality fats in it. This is, your snack foods that are plant-based, but with some fat and protein, like things like celery sticks and organic peanut butter, which is protein and fat with the plants. This is a perfect balance. So this is what I do. But, I first of all, at 28, I became a personal trainer. Then at 29, I studied 1 year of nutrition at TAFE. Then I threw myself into blood group dieting. I started looking at Ayurvedic medicine. I started looking at, protein diets. I started looking at fat diets and understanding why they were classified as fat diets. Then I went and studied the Institute of Integrative Nutrition and came up with a philosophy, which is now not a philosophy, now it's complete fact. And it works because we've seen it in over 13,000 clients since I started teaching this practice, that you can heal mental health with nutrition like that, because I have seen it over and over and over and over again. Now, there are 3 main components of healing mental health issues. One is get your nutrition right. It's very important. That lifts the cloud to a certain degree, but it doesn't make everything perfect, because if the underlying precursor is still there, the thing that the story that's running over and over and over and over and over again, and you don't change your situation, then what happens is it can reoccur and reoccur every time you have a slip up. So what we do in this type of education is that we lift the cloud and get people to make better life choices. Well, hang on a minute. Now that I feel better, what is the one thing that has been making me feel so flat? Oh, it's my job. I'm bored and it's not in my value set. Oh, it's the boyfriend that I've had for 2 years that mistreats me. Oh, it's the circle of friends that I'm holding onto because they're so negative and they say awful things about other people. I don't want to be around that anymore. And so what we do is we lift the cloud by giving people great nutrition, and it helps them have the confidence to make better life choices. Does that make sense? So I think it's a step-by-step process. So first of all, it's nutrition. Second of all, it is life choices, looking around at what's going on and making better life choices. But third, it's really supplementation, because once you get to that point, you want to make sure you maintain everything. And for me, I want to have a normal life and I want to have a wine sometimes. Sometimes I want to have a pizza. Like Taji just said, Mum, it's school holidays, can we have fish and chips tonight? And of course, I'll go down there and get the fish, but then I'll get a little Greek salad to go with it. Taj might have the fish and chips, but the thing is, I still want to be human. So if I don't have good supplementation to balance everything out, you do go up and down, up and down, up and down. And especially if you're not changing your lifestyle factors as well. And then there's other, like drinking enough water, getting enough sleep, making sure that you avoid things like coffee, which is adrenally fatiguing, making sure you're avoiding drinking way too much alcohol and having too many back-to-back benders, which can cause so much inflammation in the system. And also anyone, I don't know, I'm 44 now, I have 3 wines, I can have 2, but if I have 3, I have a hangover for 4 days. And it's the most awful feeling. And so I know that's not good for me anymore. So I just end up making better life choices. So let's talk about nutrition for mental health. I think this is the most important thing to understand, is that we have a nervous system that needs nutrition. That nervous system is so vastly large. I mean, just your lungs alone, when we take all the little thin nerves, which are just effectively tubes with a fatty myelin sheath wrapped around it, those nerves, when we lay them down next to each other, your lungs are the size of a tennis court. Now, what your body needs is the same as what a plant needs. A plant needs oxygen, water, sunlight, and food, which is fertilizer or good quality soil. Humans need oxygen, water, sunlight, and food. And so to calm your central nervous system each and every day, to have that nervous system running really smoothly. And by the way, the purpose of the nervous system is to send messages to the brain in the most positive and impactful and speedy way. So, quick-witted, fast-paced, extremely intelligent, beautiful skin, super calm type of people, you think they've got it all? Well, their nervous system's in check. So a lot of people that have got incredible nutrition actually are like swans. So on the top of the surface of the water, they look very graceful and they look very elegant and they look like they've got it all together. But underneath, their legs are going like the clappers, right? And this is because they can maintain composure because they've got their diet in place, but they work really fast in the brain. So what they eat, and when the actual message hits the nervous system, because 80% of your nerves that contain messages, so the serotonin is created in the gut. So the nerves from the gut shoot serotonin to the brain, which is the happy hormone. And if you're eating sugar and more sugar and more sugar, if you're eating dairy, which is like mucus, if you're having lots of wheat and gluten, which is like clag glue, sugar is like calcified candy. If you're eating those 3 things, then coffee, which overstimulates, which coffee's fine, 1 a day is fine, but over drinking coffee will overstimulate the nervous system. If you're having things like preservatives, additives, chemicals, processed foods, too much meat, all of these things affect the nervous system in a way where the message from the gut is very poor and weak. It's like you've got your power cable and the message goes from here to here, but there's something blocking it in the middle. And so what we need to do is remember that things that feed amazing, incredible amounts of serotonin to the brain in a very consistent and beautiful and even way is oxygen. So doing breath work and breathing into the lungs, into the gut, hold. That type of meditation, long breath in, hold, long breaths out, and then that will keep the central nervous system really calm. Drinking the right amount of water each and every day, so 40 mils of water per kilo of body weight. So if you're 40 kilos, you need 1.6 litres of water. If you're 80 kilos, you need 3.2 litres of water a day. And then we need to be eating, we need to be getting out into the sun and exercising, but we also need to be eating good quality foods that are high in fat. So fish fat, olives, coconut oil, flaxseed oil, sesame oil, avocado oil, all these things. Now, when I think about high fat diets, you think about keto, you think about Mediterranean diets. But truly, if your diet has four to six touch points of fat every day. So if you do a smoothie in the morning, you might do a snack, you might do lunch, you might do dinner, and you've got fat in all those meals. Every time you eat, you are feeding the nervous system correctly. If you take time out to breathe for 5 minutes a day and put your face in the sun, you will be able to alleviate a percentage of the anxiety or depression. Now, the more the more plant-based nutrition plus fat that you eat every day, you're going to stimulate the nervous system in a really beautiful way. Now, this is the second thing that this is the fifth thing, I shouldn't say. That's one category, but the second category of nutrition that the nervous system needs is actually plant-based nutrition. So fruit, veg, nuts, seeds, grasses, some quality grains, some sprouts, different herbs, but things that are very good for the nervous system is all your green nutrition. So when the green smoothie came about, everybody was like, wow, this is amazing. I feel so good on my green smoothie. And so people went on the green smoothie revolution. This is where it becomes very powerful. Green salads, green juices, green smoothies, and then just add a little bit of color. So if you're going to make a big salad with coriander as a base, mint as a base, parsley as a base, basil as a base, a little bit of shredded kale, finely, thinly, shredded spinach, or arugula, or rainbow chard, or something like this. Then you put in your avocado, your cucumber, your spiralized zucchini, your lemon juice, your olive oil, some sesame seeds, maybe put some dukkha through there, maybe a little bit of tuna or salmon or some white deep sea fish. That is an amazing meal where the nervous system has fat and plants. Now, remember that all your green plants, the planet is 80% green, right? So it's 80% water in totality, but all the land mass, we're still 80% green, bar the cities. So we need to be eating green nutrition because it's full of chlorophyll and oxygen, which feeds the nervous system, which gives us oxygen. And remember the second thing I said we need? We need to breathe. We need water, we need breath, we need sunlight, we need food. And so when we eat green nutrition, we get oxygen and chlorophyll and mineral nutrition to feed the nervous system. When we eat fats, we lubricate the nervous system and we create a thicker and fatter myelin sheath. Now, the fatter the myelin sheath, doesn't mean you put on weight, by the way. The fatter the myelin sheath, think about a juicy, widgety grub as opposed to a really thin, lucid worm, right? This thick nerve, now the message travels really fast because when it's really thick, it's got something to ping off. It's like a fluffy cloud. It goes ping, 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 ping. And so when you eat something amazing, it hits the gut where 80% of your serotonin is actually created. This beautiful serotonin hits the brain. It makes you make positive life choices. Now, you're either glass half empty or glass half full. And when you start to make complaints about life, when you start looking at people as if they are better than you or less than you, or you're being judgmental, or you think no one loves me and no one cares about me, I've got a lack of self-worth, check what you're eating. Because you literally can eat so well and all of a sudden you're like, I'm confident, I'm strong, I'm beautiful, I am who I am. You know, it's so important to understand you are what you eat, but then there's another layer to that. You are what you digest. So you do not digest wheat, gluten, yeast, too much meat, dairy, additives, chemicals, preservatives, alcohol, too much coffee. You don't digest that. So when you think, well, I eat really well, but then check yourself and go, well, how much coffee am I having? How much gluten am I having? How much alcohol am I having? I'm having all of that, but I'm also having my salad and my smoothie and saying I'm doing okay, but we're not doing okay. So if you don't feel positive about who you are, if you don't love yourself, if you don't thrive on loving others, if you don't hold kindness in your heart, if you don't want to live your passion, if you don't serve a purpose on a daily basis, check what you're eating. Now I want to share with you how simple this can be. Wake up in the morning. This is what I do. I'm going to share with you what I do. So I wake up in the morning, have 2 glasses of water. I have my fruit, veg, berry, and omega blend capsules. They're whole food concentrates. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. I go and I run or walk all the way down to my local beach. I swim a few laps and I walk all the way back. It's an hour return. Then I come home and I make an amazing superfood smoothie. So in my superfood smoothie, if you can keep up, write this down, I put in 7 greens. So I'll put in kale, I'll put in rainbow chard, I'll put in avocado, cucumber, zucchini, I'll put in basil and mint, then I'll put in half a lemon with the skin on, blend it in my Thermomix with my whole food concentrate vanilla complete, and a little bit of UDOS oil, UDOS, because it's liquid form. I can't put my omega-3 capsules in there. It's not enough. I need to put in more, and I believe that the more fat you can get in, the better. I blend that up. Sometimes I put in spirulina, wheatgrass, or powder. You don't have to, but I do. Sometimes I use hemp seeds also. I blend it all up, and I drink, I don't drink a little tiny glass. I drink 700 mils to a litre, and that gets me right through till lunchtime. Now, if I've got all that green nutrition, protein, good quality fat, I've just done oxygen, I've just done my exercise and got oxygen in my lungs, I've had my supplementation in the morning, I've had 2 glasses of water plus a litre of green smoothie, I've had at least 5 to 6 cups of fruit and veg added to my diet already by lunchtime. Do you think that I am going to feel good? Or do you think I'm going to go, oh, I feel so flat, I'm just going to have, I don't know, I'm just going to have a burger for lunch because, yeah, I'm just not doing very well with my diet. That's not how you're going to be. You're going to be firing on all cylinders. You've got oxygen in your body, oxygen in your brain, fat in your nervous system. You've exercised, you've taken in the breath of life. You're going to feel incredible. Do that 7 days in a row. It'll change your life. I just want you to sit with that for a second because it will change your life. So you've done your green nutrition for the day. But I also would make myself a green salad for lunchtime, and I would add some tuna, some salmon. I would add in some nuts and seeds. I might do my nuts and seeds and roast them with some turmeric, coconut oil and salt. I'll add that to a big green salad. The same thing I chop up for my smoothie, I prepare at the same time and chop up for my salad for the day. Then I add in some colour. I'll add in, some tomatoes, I'll add in some olives, I'll add in some feta, I'll add in some grated beetroot, some grated carrot, and I'll just take a massive box of salad with me wherever I'm going. I'll then take about 1.5 litres of water with me per day in my big container, and I'll make sure that I do that. Then I make sure by the time I get home to pick up Taj that I will make a picky plate with some chopped up veg and tzatziki and hummuses and maybe some chopped up fruit, and I'll eat what he eats. Then for dinner time, I eat a very small meal, very light meal, but I'll do something like quinoa and roasted vegetables with some olive oil, some salt and pepper, some lemon juice, some roasted pine nuts. I might do a very light curry with just quinoa, lots and lots of vegetables. I might even eat more green salad. I might eat the leftovers from lunch. I might do chicken, and I might just do tenderloins with beautiful pesto. I might do just a touch of wholemeal, gluten-free pasta, just a tiny bit because I need the carbohydrates for the next day. But then I'll do all these roasted vegetables. So I'll do a medley of roasted vegetables and I'll just pop them in the oven. Or I might do soup and just a piece of, gluten-free toast or something like that. But I make sure my dinners are quite light. If you eat like this, you'll feel fantastic. But supplementation is also important. So would you allow me to share Juice Plus and how that fits into this for mental health? Because I really want to share something with you. It's very difficult to be consistent with nutrition. It's also very difficult to be organic every day. It's very difficult to source biodynamic. It's very difficult to consistently pay for good quality nutrition. Now, if you're on your own and you're earning a great wage, it's very easy to do that. But sometimes we're from the country, we can't access good quality fruit and veg. We're getting Coles and Woolies produce only. We have zero access to organics. We have no idea how much chemical content is on our produce. We have no idea the heavy metals that are actually laced across our fruit and veg. We don't know how to wash our fruit and veg, and we just don't feel like we get that kick. And so the reason why I'm so connected to women's health is because I think there needs to be an education here. The world is changing. We have a safety food issue. My whole vision is to make sure that children have safe food and safe drinking water on the planet when we leave the planet. And the thing is, at this rate, we're not getting there. And so when I found Juice Plus, it was to me because I thought, well, hang on a minute, this is third and fourth generation farmed produce grown with organic principles or organically grown. 60-70% of our produce is actually organic. The rest has organic farming principles. We vine ripen, so it's picked at the peak of ripeness. No one pulls a baby out of someone's belly at 6 months if they don't want that, because they want the last 3 months of growth to be in full term, so the baby has all its faculties. And the thing is, right, with fruit and veg, it's exactly the same. You pick it at the peak of ripeness, and then 40% additional nutrition sits in the plant. But with Coles and Woolies, they early pick and cold store, and they gas produce, and we're missing so much nutrition. And so never before did we need to supplement like we need to now. And so here I am trying to eat well, but I couldn't afford to eat organically. I felt a little bit flat. I couldn't quite get it right. So I was introduced to Juice Plus. I started taking this whole food concentrate, and this is where I saw my life change. I saw my energy come back, my memory come back, my self-worth come back. Then I had a little bit of elevated energy. I started to become more in my head rather than out of my head, and more in my heart. And I started to seek out better quality nutrition. I started to learn how to get at least organic this or organic that, and eat more of this and eat more of that. And I started to learn. I started to realize that I was actually intelligent. I was always told that I wasn't intelligent. I was always told I didn't have a university degree and I'd never amount to anything. I was always told that, I had a memory problem, and I had a little bit of, getting things mixed up all the time. I don't believe any of that now. 100%. I know how intelligent I am, but I also eat so well, and I stimulate all of the neurons to fire correctly because I eat correctly every single day, well, as much as I possibly can. And when I don't, I supplement. And actually, I supplement every day. So when I was introduced to Juice Plus, I started taking it. I started to feel better. I started to connecting back to food. But then I had no anxiety. I had no memory loss. I started to feel better, but then this was the thing that happened for me. I went and had a regular pap smear. I'd had irregular pap smears for 20 years. I just thought it was my cervix. That's who I was. It was my story. I was running for such a long time. And I had a clear pap smear. And that was my next level of health. So I had another pap smear to double check, and all of a sudden I had another clear pap smear. And it's been 10 years now since I've been on the product, and I've had no irregular cells, and I have had no infections, and I feel whole and complete, and I feel connected to myself as a woman, and I feel like a sexual being, and I feel like I'm in my divine feminine power. And now I love myself just as much as I should have as a child, but that was taken from me at 11. So I've come full circle at 44. I really love who I am, but I love myself because of nutrition. I healed my body, my nervous system, and all my stories with good quality nutrition. So it's a really good vehicle for transformation. But I think the precursor to the higher growth and the really loving myself and the calmness and the sense of calm that I feel each and every single day is because every single day I take my whole food concentrate Juice Plus every day. And the fruit blend gives me 10 different types of fruit with no sugar, 10 different servings of veg with no salt or sugar, 10 different servings of berries, which I never get in my diet normally, which are highly anti-inflammatory. And I get all those antioxidants and polyphenols, which are the ones that protect you from cancers. I get all of that in my diet every day. Plus I get now the new formula of the Omega blend, which is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 blends, which every single blend I've bought in the past has either been an Omega-3 or an Omega-3, 6 and 9, but never 5 and 7. So it's all coming from marine phytoplankton. It's coming from, the ocean floor. It's coming from what the fish eat. It's not even fish. It is coming from buckseed, thorn berry. It's coming from raspberry seed berries. It's coming from amazing things that you can't chew and eat because we don't have that type of teeth. So they're rolling out all these amazing oils, putting them into our bloodstream, and we're actually connecting on an even higher level. And then, of course, where I add my whole food macronutrition, which is the stuff that hits you and you feel straight away, because we have macronutrition. Micronutrition comes from all your plant-based nutrition. Macronutrition comes from the heavier sources and the denser sources of food, like your proteins, and your things like your amino acid chains from, animal proteins and things like that. But our protein is all plant-based, and all amino acids sit in our profile of our product. And we've got good fats in there. We've got, mushroom extracts, which is rich in vitamin D. We have lots of different types of vitamin B extract in our product. And then we have superfood formulas and vegetable extracts and all these amazing things. And not only that, it tastes good. So I put that into my smoothie and I feel wonderful. And I love the fact that it's become so easy. So that is my story. That's a little take on nutrition and how you can heal your body, and why I believe in whole food concentrates such as Juice Plus, which is heavily researched, 35 medical journals to point in the direction that our product actually works for immune health, reduction of inflammation, heart health, dental health, general well-being, which, after 13,000 customers over the last, 10 years, I have seen so many people after 21 days to 120 days just go, I don't have depression anymore. I don't have this anxiety anymore. I don't have post-traumatic stress anymore. I don't have any of this. They've taken themselves off medications, but I'm not saying you do that. I'm not saying that's the thing we recommend, because we don't. All I'm telling you is what I've seen with my clients. And I can tell you how it happened for me. And I can give you stories of, amazing Tracy Biggins, who started on the product and 2-3 weeks down the track felt that cloud lifted for her. And I've got a gorgeous friend that's been a friend of mine since I was 17. She'd been on the product for years and not had any anxiety, went off the product, her anxiety returned, and then went back on the product and her anxiety left her body. And these are people that eat well, but just couldn't get connected to it all, because they just needed the things they weren't getting, like the berries, like the omegas, like the macronutrition, like particular fruits and vegetables that sit in sometimes the veg or the berry blend or the fruit blend. And so, this is just my story, and this is just my connection to these people, and this is what I've witnessed, and this is what I've learned, and this is what I've been educated on. It's not true for everybody, but after 13,000 people, the numbers are adding up. And so now I'm extremely passionate about where our food comes from, shopping at the farmers markets, teaching people how to food combine, teaching people the lifestyle factors that help people with mental health, teaching women to love themselves at the highest level, spiritual nutrition, which I have a new program out called Spiritual Nutrition, which takes people to their passion, their purpose through nutrition, teaches them how to add all these amazing things to their diet so they just feel out of this world. And and obviously whole food concentrate juice plus. And so I'm really passionate about doing this for people because it works. And I can't deny that. I just wanted to say I love you all. And if you have any questions, we can stop this recording now and we can ask questions directly after.